my cup with some Java love. Sit on down, let's talk it up. I know some laughing lattes.
Welcome to another episode of Life and Lattes with Liv and Cole. I'm Liv.
And I'm Cole.
And we have a guest on today, Iman.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. So we have a mutual friend. She was like, hey, Iman, you should be on Liv's show. And so he messaged me and I was like, yes, you have to be on. So he runs a small tech company, is a DJ, and also has a kind of smaller scale retail shop.
Yep, you got it.
Did I cover it all?
Nailed it.
Awesome. So we'll kind of dig into that a little bit. Coffee rundown?
Coffee rundown. Full disclosure, I am not drinking coffee today. I'm drinking water. Sinuses have been killing me the last couple days, and today I actually feel so much better, so I'm like, I'm not going to jinx it. I'm going to stick with my water. So.
And I brought a coffee that we had on the girls episode so that Cole could drink coffee.
And I ruined it.
You did. So we're drinking the Ralph Lauren coffee again today.
That's fancy.
Doesn't disappoint.
How you feeling about this?
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. It's an easy drink. Like, I could drink a lot of it, you know? It's, like, super smooth.
That's interesting. I hadn't got to look at the package.
Yeah. It seems like with how much, like, style and fashion around Ralph Lauren, that would be not as simple packaging.
Yeah, this is not what I expected.
It's kind of lame, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. Iman, I don't know how, like, familiar you are with his brand or whatever, like... But that just doesn't, don't you think, like, that just doesn't...
I didn't realize that was, like, the actual brand's coffee. That's
what I'm saying. Like, you would expect that, I don't know, they would have their legit logo on here, and it just, the only place it actually says Ralph Lauren is on the back.
Yeah.
And tiny font.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I think that makes me like the coffee more now.
Right, because it's just, like, chill. Like, they're not, like, in your face.
Yeah, I wore that a lot growing up, so...
Really?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, so...
it's roasted in the USA, too. That's kind of cool.
A friend got it for us, and you can only get it in Chicago. And she's like, I thought of you guys.
That store is amazing. Have
I've never been.
I've never been either.
What?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been to Chicago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But you got to do that, because, like, we just like hitting those stores. I forget what the road is there. It's that, like, main drag, right?
Yeah.
That's where I go to the UGG store.
Oh, you're that guy as well?
Yes.
I love my Uggs, man.
Oh my
Yes! Yes!
no!
You're like the only other one, dude. Seriously.
Oh, jeez.
The bread loaves. Yeah, with the strings on them, the big old thick ones.
Yep.
They're, like, shorter. Yeah.
Yep. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, man. You know what? I think I'm just going to see myself out. Y'all can have this episode together.
I know, right? Tech company, Uggs, like...
Just forewarning, this will be the last that you'll hear my voice on this episode.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Cole has a man crush right now. So
yeah, well, she makes fun of me all the time. Like, it's the thing. Like, she talks about it on the episodes, and she's like, Cole's got this
he's
Ugg
so
thing.
bougie on everything.
I could tell.
Yeah.
That's good.
And you
That's good, though.
like you literally said so. I mean, you didn't use the word bougie, but yeah, on everything. Like, his comforter
It's Ugg.
is Ugg.
Yeah.
Is it like one of those, like, super soft, like the Sherpa?
Yes.
Oh,
The Sherpa.
I got one too.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
From my Ugg brother.
My man.
Oh my word.
Yeah, so if you haven't, have you been to the store in Chicago then?
No, I ordered it.
Yeah, so they have a legit 2-story like retail shop.
My goodness.
Now the whole first floor is all like women's shoes, and then if you go up on the second level, that's where all the guys' shoes are. And I bought a pair there. It was amazing because they just had everything, right?
Yeah.
So you're actually able to like try them on, which was amazing. So
Dang, I'm gonna have to check that. I would go to Chicago just for that.
that's
I love my Uggs.
I'm talking about taking another trip like soon before winter so I can get another pair.
It's too much.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
Yes. That's so tight, man. That's so tight.
That's awesome.
Bougie's great.
It is great. If you have the ability to go bougie, like, do it.
Do it. Yeah. If you can afford it, do it.
That's why I work so hard, you know?
That's right. That's true.
It's seriously
true.
like...
I get it, man. I get
Too
it.
much.
That is fantastic. If only they made coffee, we'd be set.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Well, we've been trying to get a little more detail. So, like, I haven't tried it, right? So this is an espresso. So it has got a nice little bite to it. Is it a little darker? Like,
It's stronger, but I don't think it's like as.
are you guys drinking straight up without creamer?
Straight.
I have a
Yeah.
little bit of creamer in this
Gotcha.
one. Yeah.
So I know we were talking before the episode started. We talked about your nitro. How does it compare to that?
In terms of,
Well, I guess in general, right? Because I haven't had the nitro yet. So
nitro's super smooth, like really easy to digest. But this is as well too.
Really?
This is really good.
Yeah.
I really like it.
man,
It is really smooth. Which
we're
like
going back for Uggs and Ralph Lauren coffee.
That's right. Yeah, no, this is good. I would drink this every morning if I had some. Yeah.
Man, okay. Well, dang it. I feel left out today.
I know.
It's okay. You know,
Sorry.
I'm way too busy to be sick. So.
You did this to yourself.
I did. No, my children did it to me.
They gave it to you.
It's one of those things. I call it the trickle down. It's just that's how it works. Like they come home with something, and you're inevitably gonna get it eventually.
Yeah.
Like it happens. And I'm one of those people too. Like I knew, and I was like spraying everything down,
Yeah, oh my
disinfect
gosh.
it, and like vacuuming and washing all the clothes and the comforters. I was like, oh no, I'm not doing it, and I got it.
Oh my word.
But yeah, so I'm glad the coffee's tasty. Like I said, feeling a little left out there, but yeah. So you guys share a mutual friend. This is the first time I'm meeting you, but we'll go ahead and start with the tech company. Maybe give us a little background on that, maybe the name and things like that, and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, sure. So it's called Cardboard.
Okay.
And the reason why it's called Cardboard, I always try to think of the easiest way to explain this without going down a rabbit hole, like you said. Like, what is this? But essentially what it is, it's like Google Docs for web developers, application developers, things of that nature. So what it is a lot of times people that are building applications or websites will have developers out of the country or in distributed teams around the U.S. And so what they need is they need a place where they can plan everything, manage it, schedule it, and kind of have accountability for what needs to be done, what hasn't been done, all that sorts of things.
Okay.
So if you're in a tech place, you see all the Post-it notes on the wall. Basically what we do is we consolidate that onto an online form where you can access anywhere at any time.
Okay. So like, out of curiosity, what does make that different than like Google Drive or Dropbox or Box or any of those other cloud storage platforms?
Sure. Yeah. So when you're on Google Docs, what you do is kind of like what your iPad looks like right now. It's just, you just write.
Right.
But with this, it's Post-it notes. And when you open up the Post-it notes, there's specific details relative to building websites, building, applications, building all that stuff.
So it's specifically for
it's very
those
niched.
professionals.
Yeah, very niched.
Okay. That's cool though. And so I'm guessing you can share versions and iterations and files and things like that. That way, like you said, if you are across country, which usually happens, you can actually coordinate with that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're actually working on a new piece to where you can actually you can take a picture of your Post-it notes on the wall, and then it will generate
oh wow,
it now onto the application.
that's sweet.
Yeah.
So how did that get started?
So actually, Dave Hussman, he's a leader in user story mapping. He was chronically ill and was looking to sell the tool because he wanted to have some money for his family.
Okay.
And so a local technology company in Indianapolis purchased it. And then when they purchased it, they needed people to run it. And so they started with a developer. And then after that, they took it to a little deeper. And then they found me. And so it's just me and Adam Scroggin running this thing. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a ton of fun.
So what's your background then? So if you got to this point, like what kind of started that for you?
I think being a nerd in middle school, I was that guy that didn't have a ton of friends, but I was always at home trying to make my MySpace page look cooler than my friends. So being a tech guy, there's just a little bit of HTML involved in that.
Oh yeah.
And so with that kind of got me familiar with what it means to build things and how hard it is.
Yep.
And so I kind of always had an affinity for it, but I actually went to school to get a business degree.
Okay.
And I'd never used it, to be honest. I think it got me in the door professionally, but it's not really has anything to do with what I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's so funny that you mentioned MySpace because that's where I got my start too.
Yeah.
That's what made me think like, I think I might want to do this professionally one day.
That's so funny,
That's
man.
how you learn HTML. I mean, I think a lot of people, I'm guessing we're close in age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
25.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're super close in age. So like, that was just, I don't know if you were, and I was saying, I was nerd, like always like, I always wanted an Alienware. Do you know?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Did you skateboard as well?
I did.
You look like a skater.
I did,
That's funny.
definitely did.
Yeah.
I was no good at it, but you know,
Same.
I spent more time on the computer than I did on the board. So
That's crazy. That's funny. That is funny.
I never had a MySpace.
What?
really,
Yeah.
Why is that? Were you too far out on the cusp, or
Yeah. I think like Facebook was coming in and was more popular by the time that I.
Gosh, I can remember Facebook coming on the scene and being like, "Oh, I'm not gonna get a Facebook. Like, what's the point in that?
Yeah.
I got a MySpace."
Right.
That is so true.
Yeah. But I'm also like a little bit younger than you
Not by much though.
by like 3 years.
Yeah. I guess it is kind of
So, I
weird. I guess
mean,
that makes a difference.
yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like we were the last ones. Like people that are 25,
Yeah.
26 were the last
Yeah.
people.
Like Brad had one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
We need to look into that. by the
That
way.
makes sense. I was gonna say there are ways. I was looking at this the other day because I was like, I really want to see that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I hate that I didn't take it serious. They're like, hey, we're gonna shut down. We're gonna do this, and they kept your data for a certain amount of time, and I never went back on to like pull that stuff off, and I should have done it.
Yeah.
And you can't even like, there's those websites where you can type in like a URL, and then you can go back in time and like see snapshots of like the old websites. And you can't even do that with MySpace. And I was like, dang it. But there is a way to find the pictures in the profile.
Dang.
So, yeah, I know. I went back and I was like, oh my gosh, like
You're like, oh God.
little high school Cole, like it's scary.
You look the same. You just have facial hair now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Literally. The same.
I'm not as skinny as I was though. I was a stick in high school. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's so funny that you bring up MySpace. Was that like the point of your nerddom? I mean, so you went to school for business, right? So, but then when you got out of school, I mean, what'd you do like during school? I mean, did you kind of continue down that path, or was it pretty strictly business at that point in time?
Honestly, it was neither. I think it was strictly sports. I kind of
Okay.
had like a youthful mentality that I was going to be an athlete forever.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
But then once I was in grad school, the transition, I started noticing, like, okay, I got to make money. I got to live life. I got to
Right.
have goals and stuff like that
Right,
outside of
right, right.
sports. So there started to be a little transition. And so I think always having an affinity for it, I always enjoyed it. But yeah.
Well, so if you were into sports, like what made you not want to do that professionally?
Sports?
Yeah.
I wasn't good enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like
Bluntly.
physical
Yeah.
limitations.
Yep. Okay. I gotcha. I guess right. I guess at least you were able to realize that and go,
Yeah.
okay, I think maybe something else would.
Yeah. We should start working on other things. Yeah.
Gosh.
So did you do anything before you got into cardboard, or?
Yeah, I spent some time with Eli Lilly, which is a pharmaceutical company in the in Indianapolis. I was on the animal side. I
Okay.
did some work with the NCAA. I did some analytics for a travel insurance agency. I did a lot of things because I was trying to figure out how can I most professionally round myself so I can get a job that I want, not just a job that's available.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. So did you actually grow up in Indy, or?
No, so I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Man,
Yeah,
why'd you come here?
Yeah.
yeah.
For real.
Yeah, so long story short, ended up moving up with my grandparents in Seymour, Indiana. So
Okay.
went from urban North Carolina to rural
Yeah,
Indiana.
Oh yeah.
And talk about diversity, not diverse in the sense that there was a lot of people that were diverse in Seymour, but just being from where I was to where I was put into and not necessarily being like everybody else.
Yep.
It really taught me how to be a people person and kind of be the person that people want you to be or need you to be. And so I think that's when I started kind of developing my business sense too, for like what it means to entertain people, entertain clients, things of that nature.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Seymour.
Seymour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've shown some houses in Seymour. That's
Yeah.
as far as it goes. And
Yeah.
like, there's not a lot there.
There's not. And our high school is right across from a John Deere, so that says
Nice.
yeah.
Welcome to Indiana.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
The high school in our area had a bring your tractor to school day.
Yeah.
Stop.
It's a legit
Oh my
fact. And I think they
word.
might still do it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I believe it.
Yeah, I bet, right?
Oh, that's good.
So-
I love that.
So where'd you go to school?
College?
Yeah.
I went to the University of Indianapolis, so I was
Okay.
a Greyhound. Yep.
Yeah. So
Right on.
so you were able to finally make your way up north.
I was,
Yeah.
yes. Yep. Yeah, I'm a man of faith, and I just remember, like, it's always tough for me to explain why I believe, but how I got to UND is my confirmation that God is definitely real, because it was one of those things where it's like, wow, like I'm meant to be here. I'm supposed to be here.
Really?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you bring up being a man of faith. So has that always been the case, or was there kind of a moment where that came to be, or?
So my grandma was a Southern Baptist.
Okay.
So she was all about church, worship and stuff. But being in Seymour, Indiana, when you're like in middle school and high school, you want to be like, youth is fun because you relate to the kids.
Yep.
I didn't relate to the kids, so I hated youth.
All right.
And that's not to say that they weren't great people. Like, they're awesome people. I love seeing
yeah.
what they're doing in these day and age. But like, because I couldn't relate to them, I really didn't care about religion in that sense, or faith in that sense, I should say.
Right.
But then once I got to college and I really got to be mentored by these awesome men who really love their wives, love their profession, love their God, and just really model my life after theirs, like God started showing himself in like all these little subtle ways. And I'm like, wow, like I get it now. I get it.
Yep.
So
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's awesome.
It's always nice to hear stories like that. So
yeah, for sure. Sorry if that's not what this podcast is about.
No, it's great.
No. That's why I asked you, because I'm definitely interested. I mean, we've had a lot of people on and everything, but we haven't, Liv and I are both on the same page when it comes to that sort of thing.
That's
and
awesome.
So that's why it's
We
kind
actually
of nice.
met at church.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's
in
how
our
we got
small
together.
group kind of.
That's so awesome.
deal.
Brothers
Yeah.
and sisters in Christ. I love it.
That's exactly it.
I love it.
Absolutely.
And her now husband, who was then boyfriend, he helped me through a really hard time. So it was like that whole culmination of everything. Like I was like, yeah, I think these people are going to be like friends of mine for like ever.
That's awesome, man. That is so cool.
Sorry, Liv.
Make me all emotional over here. So that's a good transition to your Believe brand.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because that's tied in with the ministry,
It
right?
is. It is. Yes, you're correct. So I always used to make fun of people that make clothing brands, because it's like, man, everybody wants to have a clothing brand. You know?
Right.
Everybody
Yeah,
wants
yeah.
to make these want-based businesses instead of need-based businesses. And I actually, I promise you this is not narcissistic, but when I first came up with it, that was actually my initials that I used for my business cards. And people would always ask, like, what business is this? What business is this? And another reason why I know God is real is because just the insight and the wisdom that he gave when the logo came out. If you guys remember what it looks like, there's a space between the I and the T.
Yeah.
And God was like, hey, this is a reminder of what you should be as a believer. This is a space between where you are as a sinner at the top and where God wants us to be at the cross, because that's where Jesus was.
Right.
And that's our goal, is to be as Christ-like as is possible while we're here. And then so as it grew and as it developed and as I started wearing it, I realized it was a vehicle that I could really express and talk about my faith, because people were always complimenting stuff. And then like once it got up, once I figured out how to do it, and it started making money, it's like, wow, this is a perfect opportunity for a ministry that actually has resource to give.
Yeah.
And so then when I kind of took myself out of it, and initials are no longer about me at this point,
Yeah.
because my name's a faith-based Arabic name, it just really changed my heart and my spirit. So now every time I hear my name, every time I see this logo, it's always a reminder that it's not about me. So
Wow, that's super cool.
thank you.
You passed me the coffee.
Oh yeah, of course. So that was kind of like, it started off as maybe more of a personal brand type of thing, and then
got
it
it.
kind of merged itself over time.
Yeah.
So why was it that you did decide to start, making clothing, and I mean, you got the hat on, and you brought a couple shirts for us. How did that come into being?
You're very stylish.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. Well, I think that we as people, we really like things, and we really like stuff, and we really like wearing things as well. And so we often use like designs or colors to describe who we are. And I guess for me, it's like when I realized who I was, and that was a child of God, it's like, man, all I want to do is talk about it, represent it, wear it, and not anything in your face, but just like super subtle things that I can pair along with how I live, that people can be like, wow, like this person knows God, because like who he used to be and what he used to wear and how he used to act, that's not who he is now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
That is cool.
So, and I think that you mentioned maybe that they both go hand in hand with the ministry. So kind of give us some explanation on that.
I kind of always had a calling to where I really wanted to give back to people in low economic situations. And especially like, I feel like in our society, there's a need for strong black men to mentor young black men. And so that's what had initially started the ministry, just trying to show these guys another way and teach them skills that they could eventually monetize and make money off of.
Yep.
And as it grew, the other communities, other economic situations, so like low economic and then literally like no economic, like poor, like homeless, and just showing them the love of God, because I truly believe that like that's who Jesus loved the deepest, were those that didn't have resource.
Right.
So when I just got to see what that was able to do, and then we did a campaign, which I don't know if you guys saw the video for or not. The city of Indianapolis was looking to donate $250,000 for the sign that's on Mass Ave. And it just kind of opened my eyes and my heart, like, dang, what if we could do something like that? And so we made a campaign around it, and we just asked people for donations or to support Believe Brand. And the next thing you know, there were some people that we were able to bless, and I'm just so thankful, like, looking back on it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow. That's
So
super
you
cool.
run this with other people then? Or is it just you?
Yeah, so we don't keep any of the money for ourselves. So anybody that does it, it's all volunteer.
Okay.
I pioneered the idea, but I can't say that it was only me, because there's so many people that work behind the scenes that don't even want me to mention their name because they don't want me to deny them of a blessing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That just really helped me out. Whether they write blogs for us, whether they come up with designs, whether they're picking it up, whether they're finding a new fulfillment for me, just so many people. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. Love that.
Gosh. That's super cool.
Thank you so much.
So outside of that, we know that you are also a DJ.
Yes.
I know you got quite the book of business here.
You
I'm trying to be like you,
do.
man. I'm trying to keep up with y'all.
But yeah, so it's definitely like, we were talking about earlier, right? Like hit all the little different things that you can.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of funny, right? It's like tech business and your faith-based business as well. We're helping everybody out, and then DJ.
Yeah.
How does that fit in?
How does it fit in? That's a good question. And so like sometimes I'm conflicted as a believer, because a lot of the things people want to hear is not very glorifying.
Yeah.
I
But-
get that. Music is a tough thing in that aspect.
It's tough, right? But then I kind of think about it like, if I'm a police officer, am I always talking about my faith? Am I always living out my faith? Or are people paying me for a service? And so what I realized that it allowed me to do was bridge gaps.
Okay,
So I
yeah.
think music is something that brings a lot of people together. Even when I walked in here and I see these speakers in here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love those. Like we automatically related, and
Right.
it's based on music.
Yes.
And so if you could provide an atmosphere where these young people, and even older people for that instance, feel safe and they kind of look up to you, because for some people they think DJs are cool, and then you get to show them who you really are outside of the DJ world, and you get to learn more about them and teach them and mentor them. It's like, dang, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, so it goes beyond just, having a love for music and being up in front of everybody and doing something like that. But it actually gives you an opportunity to touch some more people that you probably wouldn't have been able to.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When did you start that?
So I started, I cannot believe it, but 3 years ago.
Okay.
Wow.
I started DJing on my iPhone, my iPhone 5, I think, at the time.
Wow.
Nice.
And I'm sure, as you know, you get into something, you enjoy it, and then you have to know more, so you buy more equipment. And then you buy more equipment, and then, $5,000 later, you're like, well, here we are.
Here-
Right? I got all this
is
now.
what I'm doing.
Usually that's the point where I'm like, how can I figure out how to get this back?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can I use this to, make it from point A to point B and actually like pay off the equipment and beyond?
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is the hard part.
Yeah.
So I know we talked about some of the events that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And like, is it just specifically events, or, I guess I'm not super familiar with that world. So like, I don't know, do you do like a concert, or, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
are there venues around Indianapolis that you do or anything like that? Or
Yeah, so it's evolved a lot, and it's one of those things that I almost gave up DJing because I thought that I had to be in a bar or club to do it.
yeah,
But then as I got older and as God is just kind of giving me a lot of provision with it, it started growing. And so next thing I knew, I was doing sporting events. So I got to do the 500 festival. I got to do the Indy Mini Marathon. Got to do some stuff with the Pacers, for IU, for the Colts. And then I was like, dang, I really would love to do this in a concert setting. And next thing you know, I find out one of my really good mentors is like, hey, Andy Mineo is going to be in town in Cincinnati here soon, and we need a stage DJ.
Sweet.
And
Wow.
so
That's so cool.
yeah, it's been awesome. It's evolved, and I think that that's kind of what's pushed me to go even harder and learn even more about it, because I don't think there's a lot of Christian DJs on the scene that are excellent at it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we're called to be, is excellent. So like if you guys are going to do a podcast, you guys are going to be excellent, because that's what we're called to do. And I mean, look at you guys, look at your content, look at your stuff. So
We're trying.
yeah.
Yeah, there was one thing that always stuck with me, and my dad always said this. It was like, something worth doing is worth doing right. Mm-hmm. And that always really, it really stuck with me, because, what's the point then, right? If you're not going to put 100% plus into it, then why are you doing it in the first place?
Yeah.
If you don't have a passion for it, if you don't have drive, what's the point of just doing something for sake of doing something?
And those things take time, and we live in such a world of instant gratification that you want those things now.
Yeah.
And a lot of those things just take a lot of time and work to put into it,
Yeah, which we're finding out in the podcast endeavor. It's taken some time for sure.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, we're always learning, and what's next, and how can we take it to the next level, and what are people doing? What's
what
equipment.
is the next level?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because that's the tough part about it.
Yeah.
And it's an ever growing industry. So and I'm sure just as much as any of the things that we've talked about so far, because like I said, I don't have a lot of, I know music, but I don't that whole space is very foreign to me. So it's interesting to see how that's evolving, and it's becoming a big deal, I think.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, that industry is huge now. And especially like you said, I mean, it seems you're finding those little niche places to put yourself, which is smart.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Because I couldn't name one Christian DJ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
None.
Honestly.
I know the big ones, right?
Yeah.
But that's about where it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think I could name one in general.
That's
gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I got really into electronic music.
Yes, you did.
For a while there. There was a good couple 2-3 years. And then it kind of faded because no one else was doing it. It's tough because nobody, you're like, oh, okay, this is great, but no one wants to be playing the car. And then we got really into just acoustic. Pretty much anything that was acoustic. You listen to John Mayer at all?
I love John Mayer.
Yeah. Did you go see him when he was in town?
I did not, no. I'm kind of grown out of concerts. I think being on the DJ side of it, I don't really like going as much anymore. But
Interesting.
yeah, I used to be at every concert, everywhere, all the time, but miss John Mayer.
Interesting.
Cade is John Mayer .2.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's kind of the way
Yeah,
we talk about him.
Yeah, we do.
He's a fantastic guitar player.
Yeah,
We'll have to have him play something for you.
for sure.
Yeah.
So the intro, that's him.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
so tight.
So the intro to the show is actually him playing and singing and everything.
You are so talented. Wow.
We were like, hey, I knew we needed an intro. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
better? I'm like, dude, hook me
Hey.
up. And it was just seriously, what was it, a couple days?
Yeah,
And he's
think
like, hey,
he
I got
it
this.
back to us really quick.
Fun fact about that. There's this is funny. So there's a part of the lyrics where he says, Java love. Never knew we
Neither
didn't
of
know
us knew that that's what he was saying.
for the first 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
We thought he was saying Java and just saying
Java.
Yeah. Nope. He's saying Java love. So, whoops. I feel like we should know that
I
about
know.
our own song.
Well, it's not like we got a copy of the lyrics, right? You know,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, that sounds great, man.
Right,
Make it
sounds
happen.
good. Great.
Yeah.
And we did it live on one of the shows when he came on, and when we did
That's
that,
when we knew it, right?
yeah, because
Wait
he
a
was
second.
I was trying to help him sing it, and it came up, and I was like,
Wait.
that doesn't sound right. He's like, it's love, and I was like, oh my bad. So I always hear that being on stage, and I've only got to do it a couple times, but like the feeling that you get, that's addictive, isn't it?
It is actually. It is, and it's dangerous at the same time. So I feel like we experience a lot of things that, and I say we as in just people, humans in general. We experience a lot of things on these little micro levels that the people that we look up to experience on a macro level. Yeah. And so there's been times where I've been on a stage entertaining kids at a youth conference, And then you walk off the stage and there's just like this, like, almost like you're on a roller coaster. So there's like this super high emotion, adrenaline's pumping, you're sweating. It's like awesome. You're jumping up and down on stage and you walk off and you're like, whew, like, wow, like what next?
Yeah.
You know, like, and so that's something I definitely have to be careful about because it is very addicting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can only imagine, like, that would be really tough.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, especially in today's culture. Like, and I think that goes along with what Liv said, you know, about the instant gratification, you know, because you like feel that. And again, like you said, what's the next thing you think of?
Yeah.
How do I amplify that? How do I go next? I mean, it's just like we were talking about the coffee, right? Like, it's the blonde roast was strong at first, but it's not now.
Yeah.
And so you're like, what's the next level?
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's a legit thing that gets people in trouble,
It does. Yes.
because you hit that peak, and once you hit a peak, you're like, where do I go from
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
And
A lot
then
more.
and then you're empty.
Yeah. Yeah, you're chasing this thing, this feeling, and then you start to tie your identity in with it, and that can be really dangerous. So I definitely understand. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
I do believe, like, 100% that I think that if you are a person of faith, that it gives you an edge,
I agree.
because you can, you know, he does call us to be humble. And so it's like, if you can actually take that, I mean, no one's ever going to be able to 100% be able to do that throughout all of their life. But it's like, if you can just find those moments to actually go like, hey, this is bigger than me. You know, like, I'm doing this, like you said, at the end of the day, to glorify him. So you're
Exactly.
like, you go
Right.
through all these things, and, you know, at least that you can do that at the end and humble yourself and go, okay, this wasn't me. You know, this is not only my thing. You know, I'm doing this and for a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that would help to ground somebody in that situation.
I agree.
So I don't know if that has played to you or not, but I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, that's the inspiration behind one of our shirts. It's the Christ Rooted shirt that had came out. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but it has the rainbow on it as God's first covenant. But it says rooted because that's what it's all about. Like, when you are rooted in Christ and you understand your identities in Him and not of things of this world, like you said, it really gives you an edge, because if I have a good day, if I have a bad day, I recognize that it doesn't matter and it's still just another day, and you know, I still have a purpose to serve. So
Right.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
the idea of being rooted.
Yeah, yeah. You have a reason to continue, you know.
Yeah.
I always feel for anyone who is speaking of, like, I don't know what my purpose is, like, I don't know where I'm going or what I'm trying to accomplish, and, you know, because everybody does have that need and want to have a reason, or a reason or a feeling inside that they're here for, you know, they're not just here by chance.
Yeah.
And so that always saddens me a tad, you know, because you're like, there's a bigger reason.
There is.
Right.
There is.
Right.
There is, for sure. So, but yeah, without going down that rabbit hole. But
Sorry, we already went down. It was cool.
I was gonna say, I know, it's just we're just gonna continue to tunnel here. I'm trying to think.
Welcome to Life and Lattes.
Yeah, right. We were talking beforehand. You know, like, Liv and I have always wanted it to just be natural. You know, we just
Yeah.
want to talk and
It's not forced.
yeah, it does. Yeah. No, if you could see us right now, there is somebody behind Iman that's got a prod, and he's like, yo, keep talking.
Yeah. I'm actually reading a teleprompter, if you guys didn't know. No,
I think everybody knows better by now, but
Yeah.
For
Like,
sure.
I think, like, last week's episode, we had several points, and I think we hit on, like, 2 of them.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
We just went.
I was like, let's keep rolling.
Yeah.
We just,
Yeah.
we just went with it.
But so we've talked plenty about, like, the tech and the equipment and everything like that. What's your favorite piece that you have?
My favorite piece of equipment?
Yeah, like the
Oh.
one that you're just like, man, like I obtained this, and like
Uh-huh.
I love you just like using it, like.
Yeah, so one of my buddies, he told me when I first got into DJing, he's like, Iman, you might as well just buy all the nicest stuff now, because you're going to end up spending twice as much money trying to upgrade to it. As a broke college kid, I was like, man, you are crazy.
Crazy,
Like,
yeah.
I'm good where I'm at, man.
Yeah.
My phone is good enough. 6 months later, I probably bought the most expensive, like, DJ vinyl equipment, because there's these things, they call them Rain 12s, to where now you don't need a needle, but you can still scratch with vinyls and stuff and do some really cool tricks. And I finally got one, and I love it so much. Like, now all I can do is DJ with vinyl, because I can't even go back to my controller anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So people still do play with vinyl, huh?
So it's DVS, it's digital vinyl.
Okay.
So basically, when you're running off Serato, which is a music program,
Yep.
and you add songs to it, it will basically make that specific record that song. And so
okay.
you manipulate that vinyl, and so you can do some pretty cool tricks
That's
with it.
cool.
Interesting. So instead of just having, I see what you're saying. Instead of being able to actually scratch for real, but this is actually giving you the ability to continually put songs, you know, in a digital way, but still get the scratch effect. Man, that's amazing.
Exactly. Yep.
That is cool.
Yep.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, I was mind blown on that one because I had no clue.
No.
Yep.
The most experience I have is going into Guitar Center. And
That's
you know,
my spot. That's my spot.
Man,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
Guitar
Clearly, you
Center-
guys' a spot too, because all this equipment.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The closest that I have to that is you're gonna so make fun of me.
Here we go.
What is that game from Xbox?
Guitar
Rock
Hero?
Band?
Oh, Rock Band.
Yeah.
They used to have like a DJ set, and we were like, "This is so cool."
DJ Hero. I know what you're
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah.
And see, I didn't even play that. My brother played. I thought he was so lame for playing
Yeah,
it.
for sure. I mean, you definitely look
the-
lame.
The
not
game
gonna
was
lie.
fun.
Man,
Right?
Guitar Hero's for the real people, man. I don't know why you're playing DJ Hero. Yeah. That's awesome.
I was never that person like, oh, if you mixed, you know, like if you really knew how to play guitar and then you went, it was actually difficult because that disconnect between real guitar and, you know, whatever, Guitar Hero, or I thought that Rock Band was way closer to the real thing just because you're actually pushing a full fret instead of just a button.
Yeah.
Like it didn't feel as, you know, I mean, all of it was obviously weird because you're holding a plastic neck. You're like, this is great.
We used to play that for hours.
Oh, yeah.
My siblings and I. Oh my gosh, we'd go on tour.
Do you have the
be
full
down there.
set?
Oh yeah.
Like drums,
Oh
the
yeah.
whole.
Like 3 guitars and like
So everybody's-
microphone. Yeah.
It's because when you have that many siblings, like you are a
Yeah.
band.
We are like legit a band.
Could
Yeah.
have been the Jackson 5,
No.
the Fisher 5.
Fisher Five.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's so.
Do you have any siblings, Amon?
I do. I have an older brother and a younger sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Middle child.
I
Yeah,
am
I didn't
the
even think
middle
about it. You
child.
are the middle child.
The middle child. Yep.
I had the luxury of being the older brother, so
The OG.
yeah. And
Yeah.
he'll still tell you that I was a very typical older brother.
Oh, you're beating him up all the time?
Yeah, all the way up until he beat me up.
Yeah, he got bigger than you. I
got
saw
bigger,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
He got bigger than me.
Uh-oh, he's a big dog now.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
Sure.
no. They'd be like, don't beat up on your brother. He's gonna be bigger than
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And I think that's why he got bigger than me.
Yeah.
People said it enough.
He did it intentionally.
Yeah, he did.
Yep. He could do that. Oh my gosh.
We're gonna have to go next time you do an event or something, and we'll help you out. Like if you need, we'll throw some stuff out on social media. You will have to come
Yeah, I'd love to have you guys.
Yes.
because we would love to hear you play.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Play. Is that the right verb?
At some point, I think that now I'm getting into the production side. There's like things that I play, and so it's like, man, when Iman's here, I want this to be something that you only hear when I'm here.
Yep.
And if you're not here at this event, you'll never hear it again because I don't even remember what I did.
But I would think no matter what, you could still call it playing. I mean, it's still an instrument because you still have to. I mean, you still have to know your craft.
Yep.
And you have to be up there. I mean, like, I'm sure that you're not just like playing a song and then fading it over to the next one and then
Right.
fading over to the next one. I mean, you're probably mixing tracks
Mm-hmm.
and you're adding effects and doing. I mean, that's real time, correct?
Yeah, it's real time. I don't do anything pre-recorded. I do all of it live. And so I'm counting. I'm keeping on tempo. I'm like listening to keys. Because I like to DJ in key because I really think it's an art and it makes it sound that much better.
That's smart.
Yeah, thank you. And then as I'm doing it, like I'm trying to think of wordplay as well. So like if Frank Sinatra says 21, and I'm like, dang, 21. Oh yeah, 21 Savage. Okay, here we go. 21, then throwing it into something else. So
Yeah.
I try to be pretty creative with it.
That's what I mean.
That's
Like
so
you
cool.
still have to have a musical knowledge in order to do that. So
Yeah.
heck yeah, I say play is a perfect verb.
It is.
I wasn't mocking you.
I
I just
understand.
like, is there like
But
a
you made
word
me-
that we don't
Yeah.
know that
You
is
made me
supposed
think.
to-
You made me think about it. I was like, well, maybe, but
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, use it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Play is a good word. It's a good
All
word.
right.
yeah,
right on.
because I couldn't.
No.
It goes beyond. You know what I mean? Like that's what's
Yeah.
funny is like I pick up a guitar and hear something and play it.
Yeah.
But like I could not get up there and be like, oh, I'm gonna throw this song here and this song here because that takes some song knowledge. Like you got to have some stuff up here to go like, this mixes here and this goes here. Like that's intense.
But you all seem like you're pretty like you enjoy music and you listen to a lot of it. And DJing was one of those things that when I first started, I didn't really have good music knowledge either. But I think that if you want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah,
And so
right.
like if you guys wanted to pick it up, I'm sure you guys could. I'm sure you have rhythm, and I'm sure you understand what is in key and what isn't. And that's pretty much for me like all it takes. So.
You know, sometimes I wish I didn't know when things were off key.
Right.
Because it is so difficult. Like
Oh my
when you
gosh.
hear it, you know it.
See, that's how I know y'all could be DJs, because you're like, oh yeah, I
No,
get
no,
it, man,
no,
I get it.
I don't.
Oh,
I am
Really?
not. Brad. That's why I'm like, oh my gosh, Brad does.
Oh,
and so
gotcha.
he's like cringes when it's not what it needs to be. I'm like, I did not even notice it.
yeah. Tone deaf.
I mean, like, I don't think it's that bad.
Okay.
But I never like did anything music related growing up. So I
Yeah.
have no, but I
gotcha.
appreciate it.
you
I
got
know when it sounds good, but like he's like very specific about it. That I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
But Brad was in a band, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he played bass.
He was in a band.
Which, by the way, makes sense. I'm just saying. Like, you know,
Oh gosh. Love him.
I don't
Yeah.
feel like I look like the typical bass player.
He looks like a bass player.
Usually, that's what I mean. Like,
For
Brad looks
sure.
like a bass player.
Is he
Yeah.
tall and skinny?
He's tall.
He's tall. Okay.
He's tall. He just has that look. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
bass players are tall. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm not
He's
tall.
Like 6'4".
I'm not tall. You put a
6'3".
bass with me. Like, bass is as tall
It's
as
like
I am.
taller than me.
That's why I like the jazz
Oh,
bass,
that's
because
so
it's smaller.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
like the smaller bass.
Yeah.
I had a Thunderbird. It wasn't Gibson. It was an Epiphone. But I'll tell you what, the thing was horrible. It was the first one. I just bought it because it had looks. You know, I was like, oh, that looks cool. And the headstock was super heavy, and it always leaned to the left. So you see me up there. But it's cool. Like, I remember, like, had like neon strings that you could buy that like glowed in the dark.
Oh, of course.
They had black strings too. Oh, it looked cool.
That's tight.
I don't get to play as much as I used to.
Yeah.
You're
I wish I could, but it's hard.
Yeah.
You get it, right? I mean, it's like,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Is how do you fit all of these things that you do into a day or a week?
Yeah. I actually talked about this on the last podcast I was on, and I have a friend. He has a website, and it's called, he's the 9 to 5ers coach. And what that means, it's like 9 to 5. Like, he's a 9 to 5ers coach. Like, how can you still be fulfilled, still be happy, still be successful, and be fit, all these positive things, and work a 9 to 5 job? Because I think that a lot of times people glamorize entrepreneurship and say, like, if you aren't doing your own thing and if you aren't your own boss, then you can't live a happy, fulfilled life. But one of the things that I really took away from what he was talking about was how he does his time audits. And what a time audit is he'll break down his whole week and figure out where he, kind of like economics, like where he uses time well and where he uses time poorly.
yeah,
And then he tries to optimize that for the next week and pretty much try to be 1% or 2% better than he was the week before. And so that's one thing I really took away from him, because having all of my hands in so many stuff, it's like, oh, for 20 minutes I'll do this, 20 minutes I'll do that. But it's like, if you dedicate a section, let's say like 3 weeks to one of your crafts, you'll find out that on the back end of that, now for the rest of your life, you are 3 weeks better than you were before.
yep,
So this week actually has been a rest week for me. But then the week before was a DJ week for me. And the week before that was a Believe brand week for me. So it's tough, but it's just, I'm sure you guys understand with your hands in so much stuff, like you guys will now forever know how to run a podcast.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's true.
You took the time to develop the skill and the understanding. So
right. Yeah, it's tough. That time management stuff is really hard, really hard.
Yeah.
And I tend
I
to,
always like weekends because I work a 9 to 5 job, and weekends are like my days off, and I feel so guilty if I like sleep in, because I'm like, I have so much stuff to do, but I'm also like, I'm so tired. There's so much going on during the week, but
yeah,
I tend to just have like a hierarchy. You know, like I know what makes me the most money. And I mean, at the end of the day, like I do have a passion for the things that I do. I love everything that I do. But at the end of the day, of course, I also have 2 kids, right? So
Yeah.
I have people to support. And because of that, you know, I do tend to kind of start at the top and make sure those things are taken care of, and then continue down the line.
yeah,
And like I was telling you before we started, but like Liv is a huge help. So I know I can depend on her to like go,
nice.
you know, because I mean delegation is a huge part of it.
huge.
And so I'll go, hey, you know, can you go ahead and take care of this for me? Like, and she'll ask me the same thing, like, hey, can you go ahead and lock this in for me? And that helps
Lock
us.
it down.
Yeah, lock it down.
Yeah,
And so we help each other a lot. And I think that's that's huge. That's a huge play in all of it. But it's hard. I mean, there's some days, you know, you're like, you just need to jam it out and you have a 13-hour day.
Yeah.
And that's just all there is to it.
Yeah.
But it's always worth it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I know that after all the things that I've tried and all the businesses that I started and, you know, learned from, you get to the end and finally you found those little places where, you know, no matter what, like there's income coming from that.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful place to be at.
What if after we shoot this wedding, we're like, yo, we should do more of this?
I bet that's what you guys are going to experience. I bet. There's a lot of money in weddings.
I hope that it's a positive experience. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of photographers and I've had a lot of conversations with people, and it's a scary business.
Yeah, it is
It
scary.
is.
The that's kind of why I don't do too much wedding DJing, because the expectation is so high,
Yeah.
regardless of the budget. You know, so
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
The pressure, and
Yeah.
and not that you don't want to. You know, I always flip flop back and forth because I'm like, I need to be able to handle this pressure.
yeah,
You know, I should be confident enough in my craft that I know that I've provided a good service. And I've provided the right amount of care and.
Weddings are just always high stress, no matter.
Yeah.
Well, I get it.
Well, I should not say always, because
Yeah.
that's very definitive, but a lot are.
Yeah. Well, so Liv has a bunch of background in the wedding business,
Oh, cool.
so that's a huge
Wedding
help.
business is my jam.
Oh,
Yeah.
for real.
Yes.
So you probably heard a lot of wedding DJs then.
So I was a manager of a bridal shop, so I dealt with brides a lot. And then I also do makeup and hair for weddings. So I do like that side of it. So not a whole lot of DJ.
Well, the beautiful thing is like you get to start at the beginning and help them get there.
Yes.
And then you can go.
And I like planning too. So like when I planned for my own wedding, it was like, oh, this is, I just want to do this all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
It was like not stressful at all for me.
Yeah, it's just the hard part about the photography part is you're literally like capturing the memory.
Oh, yeah.
And people put a lot of emphasis on weddings.
Well, yeah, because you can't recreate it.
No.
yeah.
You know,
True.
it's not like I think we've talked about this before, like an engagement shoot or a senior shoot where it's like, that didn't work out,
Right.
or the weather was bad or whatever. You can just like redo it. Not a wedding.
Yeah, not so much. Which I get that. I also think it's a little ridiculous, but
Do you?
I think I just think that it's kind of crazy how much emphasis and money and time and effort it's put into a single day. And
Well-
maybe that's a male's perspective. I don't know, but I'm just saying there's a point where it gets a little nuts.
Sure. No. Like, I totally agree with that.
'Kay.
Because people can get really crazy with weddings. And, like, most people prepare more for that day than they do for their marriage.
Right, which is the
like
scary part.
there's, like, such a high on your wedding day.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, now nobody cares anymore. And they go back to their normal lives, and you have to go back to your normal life. And now you're living and doing life with this person. You have to figure out.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah, no, I totally agree. However, I do think, like, photographer is, like, the most important part of the day.
Oh, I agree.
Or, like, most important person to have.
I agree. That's why I'm just a
A
little
little
frightened.
nervous.
Yeah.
Amon, do you have a lady?
I do not know. I am in a season of life where it's just so much work and so much foundation, so that when that comes and when I have that, I'm really prepared and ready for it. And
Smart man.
Yeah, I'm open for it and all those things. But no, my mentors have kind of pushed me into that direction and says, just like trust God's provision. And if you are doing everything that you need to do as a man, the right woman will present herself in your life. And so it's not anything I really ever think about, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I almost just guessed that.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Because of how organized you are, and I know you have multiple things going on, and like I can just tell by your demeanor and everything that like it's easier to live life and do those things and continue to like be like chill and figure everything out. You know what I mean? Like you could you could just tell there's a vibe from that.
Yeah.
I know the difference between the two. I've done it all, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I kind of had a feeling that you were focusing on the foundational stuff, which is beautiful.
Thank you.
No, it's great. Although I will say you'll never be truly ready.
Ah, that's good. That's what people tell me. That's good insight.
It is the truth.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is the truth.
It's beautiful. It's great.
Yeah.
But you're never truly ready.
It's an interesting concept. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden you share this life with somebody, you know?
Yeah.
And not that you don't know them, but you also...
But you don't know them.
You
know
don't.
them.
You do not.
Until
Everything changes on that day.
Really?
Like, oh yeah.
Wow.
It's like you could date somebody for 10 years and then get married. Like stuff is still going to change when you get married.
Yeah.
for sure.
It's just a different, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
It's so awesome though.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it. So tell me, guys, like, how do you balance all these endeavors and a marriage at the same time? And like, how do you get your spouse to kind of understand? Because maybe your spouses aren't as, I don't know, maybe I don't have a good word to use, busy as you guys. So maybe they don't get it. I don't know. It's like, you guys tell me.
So my husband's in nursing school and also works.
Mm-hmm.
So he does school throughout the whole week and then works the weekends. And so he kind of like understands the busy schedule. And for us, it's just kind of like, this is the season of life that we're in. Like we're working hard, putting in the work, and you know, we'll see the fruits of our labor later.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we have nuggets of time together, we take advantage of that. But, I don't know, it's just kind of like an understanding that we're both like in that busy season. So it's good to have like your own things, because you live together all the time and you see each other a lot in that aspect. So you're kind of like, you need space, to be perfectly honest. Not that you don't like the person, it's just you need your own things. So I think just an understanding of both being busy and having your own things is huge. But yeah.
So this is an interesting one for me because I was previously married. I am not currently, so I am dating. And that other story is a very long story. That's not for today's episode.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it is difficult. You know, obviously I think it's a little easier when you're in this stage because, you know, you do have more separate lives. Mm-hmm. And so I find it easier to balance this than before, because you do have a lot to, you know, that person also wants a certain percentage of your time.
Right. Yeah.
And you do owe that person a percentage of your time. And I think that's fair. But I think it took me a long time to really figure out like how to balance that out. And I was just, you know, learning from Hard Knocks and kind of figuring things out, and, you know, somebody going like, hey, like you might think about this differently. And at the end of the day, there is also, like I was told, there's a hierarchy of people or things that you pay attention to, right? And underneath God is your spouse. And that was like a big thing for me to think that that's above kids, job, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And because I always really prioritized that because I was trying to make a base. You know, like you said, I got an early start with family and all that, and definitely not complaining. I love my girls. But it was one of those things where I was scrambling to put everything together. And now how everything has worked out, you know, I've tried really hard to use that base that I have now to realize that there's sometimes you just got to shut your phone off, you know, and just eat dinner or, you know, watch a movie with everybody. And those are the times that count. And it's not like you have to spend a 12-hour period, but if you can make an hour count above and beyond everything else, that's all anybody really wants. And I've learned that over time for sure. And it's really helped all of my relationships.
Yeah.
And it's just learning, right? It's just trying different things and having people who have been through it, like talk you through it. Mm-hmm. I think mentorship and just having people to look up to, like, you know,
who have been there. Yeah.
That's made a huge impact on me.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, props to you for the humility to take a negative experience and make it positive and look to still grow and learn in that area. That's awesome. And I think that, you know, we live in a world sometimes that's so negative that it's really easy to get down on ourselves if things don't work out the way we want them to. So,
stay there.
Yeah.
I recognize the work that you're putting in, and I just met you, you know, maybe an hour ago. So, man, keep it up. You know, I'll certainly be praying for you in that aspect, and praying for you as well that your marriage is awesome and fruitful.
Thank you. So nice.
They have no choice. They have me around, so
right.
Be like,
I know.
it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So.
It's awesome.
Okay. Well, I think we'll go ahead, if I have everyone's permission here, we'll go ahead and play our little game here at the end.
Sure.
And
Give us a truth, give us a lie, and we
Yeah.
have to decide on what's
what's true and what's
True.
not. So, and this will be fun too, because like I said, we've just had this conversation now, so we know you a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what you come up with.
Yeah, sure. A truth and a lie. All right, here we go. I am fluent in Arabic. Mind you, my name is Arabic.
Okay.
Or my favorite band is Linkin Park.
Oh gosh. Hope it's the first.
What's wrong with Linkin Park?
We don't have time. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Early stuff was better.
Oof.
Man,
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, either one could be true.
I tried to pick two things that were extremely different and extremely random, so it'd be hard to pick.
No joke. Man, what are you leaning towards, Liv?
The first.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Is the first one true?
Incorrect. Quick little backstory. My grandmother was an Egyptian Coptic Christian, and so that's where the name originated from, Iman, and so it means faith in God, and so that's what's the foundation for Believe brand. But the reality of it is deep down, I used to love angsty teen punk music, and I am a diehard Linkin Park fan and the new stuff too.
Angst.
That's okay, man. That's okay. So you were probably pretty sad about the whole Chester thing.
Really sad. I was going to go to their concert in Columbus, Ohio with MGK. He's one of my favorite rappers too. But then when all the stuff had happened, they had canceled the tour, obviously. So that was a little sad.
Had you seen him before that?
I had never seen him before. Yeah. So I couldn't afford it when I was a kid. But
yeah, that's tough.
Oh my word.
I know.
Angst. That's like all of Brad's middle school and
I was
part
gonna say,
of high school.
I understand. When Brad and I are together, we normally jam out to Green Day.
Green Day, Day to Remember. I don't know, all of those.
Yeah,
What's that? Blink 182. Is that?
Did you
one
just
of them?
say? What is that? Do you not listen to their stuff?
I know some of them.
Man, I actually got to see them once.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
Who were they? They were with somebody. I went to the Blink 182 and somebody else was there.
Was it recently?
It was in like 12.
Okay. So I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Were you there at the same time as Brad?
Probably. Probably. I didn't know Brad
Didn't
then.
know it. Cute.
Gosh,
All
that was a good one. Do you think maybe you could do one more?
Yeah, I got one more for
Okay.
you.
Look at him. He's like, yeah, I'm ready.
He's ready.
you. I got one more for you. Okay. So I have been to over 100 concerts. Or my favorite sport is a sport I did in college, so track and field.
I think it's the first. Only based on things he said earlier.
He did say
He's
he
been
was
to all
a
of the
concert
concerts.
junkie. And do you?
I feel like he's trying to fool us. I don't know.
He
I
said
like
he was.
the first one.
Say he was into sports. So.
What do you think? I'm gonna let you take the reins on this one because I lost it for us the first round.
I'm going with sports.
All right.
So you might my favorite for sports track and field?
Yeah.
So actually, I ran track in college for 6 years, but I hated track. It was just a sport I was the best at. I'm a wannabe hooper, but yeah, I've been to over 100 concerts. Yeah.
Man,
Yep.
keep all your stubs.
I don't know. So I'm what I call an aspiring minimalist.
Okay.
Oh, I was gonna ask you about that because it's in your bio.
It is, yes, it
Drat.
is.
Tell
Yeah.
us.
That's okay. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sure.
It's our show.
Oh, it is.
That's true. That's awesome. That's awesome. So actually, a lot of times, like people try to reinvent the wheel, and they like come up with these new phrases, these new things, like, oh yeah, minimalism. Like minimalism's awesome. Minimalism's dope.
You live in a tiny house.
No, I don't actually. No, I do not at all. I live in Carmel, so they're not known for tiny houses.
Yeah, not so much.
But it to me, minimalism is one of those things where it's actually founded on biblical principle, and I don't even think people tie it to that. And there's a lot of scripture that talks about separating ourselves from our goods, and I think is it John 2:15-17 talks about like not becoming an owner of a home full of merchandise. And so I used to have like over 100 shoes. That was going to be my next one if I had one more. I used to have over 100 shoes, like Jordans, Nikes, Adidas, Yeezys, everything. And God really laid it on my heart that I need to stop wasting money. I need to be more fruitful, because to be fruitful and multiply to me doesn't mean have kids. It means be fruitful with what God has given you and multiply that, right? So give that to other people. And so I say aspiring minimalist because like we have in common, I have an affinity for really nice things.
Yeah.
But I'm always aspiring to make sure I get rid of things. So like with Believe Brand, we do a declutter challenge at least once a week to where we ask people to, I hear that as well.
Yeah.
We ask people to donate 40 items and then we donate it out to a homeless shelter, and we do ministry through that as well. So aspiring minimalist.
I gotcha.
Right
That makes
on.
sense.
Yeah.
I totally get that. Totally get that. I'm one of those people that like every once in a while I just like to throw a bunch of stuff away.
Yeah.
And I know you're probably going to hate me for that, but just because I normally just toss it in the trash. But
No, I mean, I get it. I mean, I think that's just as important too, because it's giving you that mental space and that mental clarity to now bring the new in. So whether it's new education, new people, new experiences. So regardless of where it goes, I still think that the cool things every now and then is definitely worth it.
okay, good. I know I'm,
Okay,
I'm
okay,
bad.
good.
Well, I'm bad about that stuff. I know I am. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of things that probably could have made their way to Goodwill, but
Yeah.
um,
Are you an indie local?
yeah,
Man, just give it to me. I'll find a place for it to go.
yeah, I'm good with
Yeah,
that.
man. All you gotta do is put it in a bag. I'll even come get it for you, man. Or I'll send somebody to get it for. I'll probably send somebody, but
No, man, you gotta come hang out.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Play a little Xbox.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a PlayStation guy, so we can't relate, but
Man.
cool kid.
Okay,
You guys were so crushing on each other there for a minute.
Okay, but hold on a second though. What if we're gonna do this? We're gonna do this. Do you understand why I went with the Xbox One X though?
Probably because you're on a budget and you really didn't appreciate nice things.
Man,
Shout out to all my PlayStation users.
Shots fired.
was not ready for that.
I wasn't either. I thought it was going to be
just-
something techie. Is it?
It is something tech.
I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. Tell me the real reason.
There is a large. Do you have a PS4 Pro?
I do not. I'm sorry. I used to be really into video games, but the past 2 years I've moved out. But
Yeah, I understand that. So the difference between the two, it was all came down to specs. Is that Xbox One X actually does output in 4K, and it's actually upscaled on the PlayStation. There is more power within the Xbox, and
That's awesome.
That's the reason why I went with it, because it was actually a legit. I'm like, I want the actual experience.
That's
Like,
tight.
I spent the money on the TV. I'm gonna do it right.
Yeah, that's tight. That's good. That's good. Yeah. All jokes to my Xbox people. All jokes to them.
Right? I don't play online though.
Oh, really?
Nope.
Wow. That's another rabbit hole, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
I know. We'll have to do a part 2. We'll have to have you back.
For sure.
So,
For
I'm
sure.
totally down with that.
For sure.
Well, Liv can. No. Okay. I'm not gonna go down any more rabbit holes. We're gonna wrap it up here. Iman, we definitely appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes.
Thanks for reaching out. Definitely, we'll have to have you back, and we'll go down some more rabbit holes.
For sure.
But yeah, what I'm gonna do is go ahead and give you an opportunity to. I know we've talked about some of it, but give you an opportunity to just give a shout out to what you got going on, and you can give a little more detail to people who are listening if they're interested in what you got going on.
Where
So,
they can find you.
Yeah.
And
social media, things
Sure.
like that.
Yeah, on social media, you can find me at Iman_Tucker, so Iman_Tucker. Definitely shoot a note if there's anything that you feel like you relate to or you feel like you could teach me, I could teach you. I love connecting with people. Probably DM like 30 to 40 people a day just because I love connection.
That's awesome.
Then you can find us at Believe Brand Co, believebrandcompany.com.
There you
awesome.
go.
Yeah. And we'll tag him because he brought us shirts, which we're very excited about.
Yes.
We'll
definitely get some
tag him
pictures.
so that you guys can follow through there. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess if you're a developer, get you some cardboard.
That's right. Get you some cardboard. You do that over.
Okay, that was episode 23. We appreciate everybody listening. I don't know. I don't think we have anything crazy going on. So
No, it will be. We won't be here next week. Sad because we have that wedding. But
Oh, that's right.
catch up on your episodes, y'all.
Yeah, catch up on your episodes, and we'll post some stuff while we're out doing that, so that
Some behind the scenes.
you can see me sweating.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Well, we out.